What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Pats Chat Podcast. I am Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, the Patriots did not get better on Sunday.
No. Hey, I just thought of something. We got to perform that song live.
Yeah,
Pat's
we
Cat
can. We
song.
should.
Maybe
Hell
like at
yeah.
the 50-yard line, like week 18 when no one's at the game.
They got to draw fans somehow in week 18. I think that's
Pat's
how to
Cat.
do it.
Yeah, we bring the
Pats
asses.
Cat.
Yeah, no. You had to fly. You had to fly out there. You had to professionally cover the game and do all that. I watched it in my living room, Doug, and even that felt like a lot. Like it was a chore at times to get through that game. So I can only imagine having to fly across the country to do it was a bit challenging. But look at you. You're back. You're back already. So good for you.
Yeah, I took a red eye home from San Francisco. Was a little bit nervous I wasn't going to fall asleep on the red eye because I didn't fall asleep right away. And I was like, that would be a disaster if I just didn't sleep at all. Slept for about 3 hours, napped for way too long. But I'm here. I'm
Do you
well
know what, Doug?
rested.
Do you know what helped you sleep on that red eye? I'm looking at the date and it says 2024, which means you are old now, which means napping is
Mm,
now in the cards.
that is very true. Yeah, I was a sleepy guy, so I slept a little bit too much. Left my phone like not on the bed, so when I woke up, I was like, "Whoa, what time is it?" It's a little later than I wanted to be, but
Podcast
we're
time.
here. We're good. It's podcast time. The Patriots lost. They lost 30-13. I think that we were pretty accurate in our predictions for this game. I think I said 27-17 with the last touchdown being scored by Drake Maye.
I said
Obviously, it was a
35
little
to
bit worse
3.
than that. You said 35-3. You were maybe a little bit more negative than how things turned out. But
If they didn't fumble the kickoff return, I would have looked real smart.
that is very true. Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty massive play for the Patriots. It would have been much worse if that hadn't happened.
And we can't even really credit the Patriots because the man just ran into his buddy and dropped the football. Like it was a total give. It was a giveaway.
Yeah, it truly was a giveaway. But it did allow the Patriots to score a touchdown, which is better than they would have otherwise done. So I don't know. I mean, I had a good idea that the Patriots were going to lose this game, especially once Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Trent Williams were all playing in it. And I think overall it probably went about how everyone expected it to. I will say that it's a little shocking to see pass rushers continue to run past the quarterback and allow Brock Purdy a lot of room to run around and scramble. And I think my favorite stat of the day, I'm not sure if you're ready for this, the Patriots' fastest sack on Sunday was Dietrich Wise sacking Brock Purdy in 9.6 seconds.
9.6.
9.6. And that was when Brock Purdy was running around, had so much time, clearly 9.6 seconds, and he just decided to run directly to Dietrich Wise and sacked himself. A real
Yes.
self-inflicted sack.
My hair's going crazy. It's distracted me. But
It looks great.
at a certain point, I can't prove this, Doug, and you're the professional, so I need you to do the researching. I think the Niners stopped running football plays and we're just like, I don't know, go, get open, George, get open, Debo, get open. I'm gonna run around. It's gonna be fun. Like that's what it looked like, schoolyard football. Because like after the Jets game, it was clear, like, all right, you have to be more disciplined with your pass rush. You have to keep the quarterback in the pocket. And it doesn't look like they even mentioned it to everyone just flying by the quarterback. Keon White again for a second straight game, just kind of doing, I don't know if I could say whatever he wanted, doing not what was helpful to preventing easy third down conversions where the edge was just completely blown, whether he went too far, whether he left his feet, whether he cut inside, it was there. So I think that was a bit shocking. And overall, I was thinking like, if Brissett didn't play terribly, would they have won? No. If Andrews didn't get hurt, would they have won? No. If Duggar didn't get hurt, would they have won? No. It's like there's no level of like if Debo wasn't in like we thought he wasn't going to be, would they have won? No, probably not. There just wasn't any path to victory in that game.
Right. Even if the Patriots had had a normal starting left tackle in that game, not even like a player that's been on their roster, but like a good, decent, average left tackle, would they have won? No. Patriots averaged 3.5 yards per drop or 3.5 yards per snap in that game, which, I mean, if you get 3.5 yards on every play, I guess you're doing okay. But
Yeah.
overall, that
That's
was
they
less
had
than
the
half.
50-yarder. The 50-yarder in the fourth quarter might even skew that even more.
Yeah, quite a bit. Lots of injuries in this game. David Andrews suffered a shoulder injury. Kyle Duggar suffered an ankle injury. Caden Wallace suffered an ankle injury. Jerod Mayo is not saying what's going on with those guys. The one that looked the worst from what we saw in the locker room was Caden Wallace. He had a walking boot, was really kind of limping even with crutches in the locker room. So I think they're going to be without him for quite a while. But while we are talking about running past the quarterback, that was one of the things I wrote about after the game is that, like, clearly the offense was bad. I covered that in the Gamer. I think that Andrew covered that in his column, everything like that. But I was like, the defense deserves some of the blame for this. Maybe not for losing, because the Patriots probably would have lost this game regardless, like we're saying, but for it being a 30-13 blowout, they deserve some of that responsibility. Obviously, 7 of the points came on the pick six, but still, you're allowing 23 points. Um, well,
431 yards to a team that was coasting.
yes. And I asked Devon Godshaw, I just like mentioned the idea of running past the quarterback and containing the quarterback. And he said, that shit, we can't do that to save our life. God damn. Which I thought was a great quote from Devon Godshaw. And when I asked Keon White about it, he said, shit, if I knew, we wouldn't be losing the contain. And he said, obviously, we got to see something. Part of it's on me. A lot of it was on me today, but as the defense, we have to rush better. But like the Patriots are even kind of at the point where they're like throwing their hands in the air, being like, we don't know why we're doing this, which is not great. Because I was even asking Keon White, like, what are the coaches saying to you about it? He's like, don't rush past the quarterback. I'm like, why are you rushing past the quarterback? If I knew, then I'd tell you. Okay, we're back at step one here. So
maybe it's not as simple as coaching by just saying don't do that, but by saying how to not do that.
I
Maybe that's missing in the
guess
equation. I don't know.
it does. It's tough though, because the Patriots also aren't getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which we've mentioned before. So can't run past the quarterback. They can't really run to the quarterback right now. And when I was asking Godshaw about one of their biggest issues on defense, he said that it was also setting the edge against the run. And obviously not having Anthony Jennings in that game hurt. Devon Godshaw said that he was playing a little bit more 5 technique in the game. He's usually in the nose. It's not one thing you can point to in this game as to why the Patriots lost. While I am talking about Devon Godshaw, he kind of had an overall optimistic view. Though he was like, I like our chances against the Dolphins. He's like, in these next 4 games, like next few games, we could be 4-3, which, like, yeah, the few teams that are playing up in the next few weeks are bad, but the question is, are they as bad as the Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Devon Godshaw, thank you for listening to Pat's Chat. We appreciate your
Yes.
continued support because we were on that. I was here, so we before the season started, 1-3. I don't know if you were. We were. I think everyone said 1-3.
I mean, they weren't favored in a single game. So, like,
Yeah, they're not even
they're
favored next
playing
week.
above
Yeah,
expectations, I guess, right now, right?
that's the shocking thing. As of now, it could change with tonight's game, but they're 1-point underdogs at home against Miami next week with Snoop Huntley at quarterback. So yeah, things are dark, but that's why I said, like, for as much as like this was the game that happened, we have to talk about it. Next week is the ass test. Like if
Yes.
you're going to be in front of your home crowd, you're going to be playing a team that didn't have a backup quarterback. It's either going to be Skylar Thompson or Snoop Huntley. It's a team that looks like if you can't beat them, you're going to have a miserable year. And then it gets even worse the next week with the Jaguars. So if you lose,
Well, there's the Texans and the Jaguars.
oh, well, you're going to lose to the Texans. So that one we
Yeah,
kind of just mentally.
probably.
So
Although they've been bad. They've been pretty bad.
doesn't really matter, Doug, does it?
Sure.
In that window, you have those 2 games, and that will determine whether this is like, a run of the mill 6-7 win season,
Yeah.
or if it's a dreadful 2 or 3 win season like last year, where you're just pounding your head in the wall. Because after week 2, nobody was. We thought we were all saved from having you endure that, did we not? We're like,
Yeah.
hey, they lost the game, but they were right there. They had a couple mistakes here and there. They'll clean that up. They learned on the job, and they've just gotten so far worse than that in 2 weeks that they're kind of facing that critical spot now.
We won't get too far into the Dolphins game, but if I'm the Dolphins, I'm putting Snoop Huntley out there. Until the
Yeah.
Patriots prove that they can contain a quarterback in the pocket, I'm putting the quarterback who can potentially run for like 250 yards in the game out there. Just be like, oh, you can't contain Brock Purdy? Let's see how you do against Snoop Huntley. He's just going to run on you. He's not going to run into a sack. He's not going to practice his passing abilities, which it seemed like Brock Purdy was trying to do by the end of that game, being like, I'm not going to run. Like, what? That's not going to develop me as a player. Let's try to throw passes instead. And lots of big plays in the game that the Patriots let up. I think they let up 4 explosive passing plays. Jonathan Jones was lagging behind on one. One was in a couple of them were in zone coverage. The George Kittle play when he caught a touchdown over 3 Patriots.
Was that Pettis and
Was
Jones? Marcus Jones got a little confused on the switch at the goal line. It looked like, and then they all ended
yes.
up there though.
That was the thing is I asked Marcus Jones about it after the game, and he was like, "Yeah, there was some miscommunication." And I was like, "Yeah, but there was 3 of them
Could
there, and
jump.
it's
It was weird. That and then the other deep one was Juwan Jennings, where Marcus Jones played incredible
right,
defense on it, and it
yes,
was like, okay,
yeah,
but
just
that
nothing
was
you can do."
that's my point about the cruise control thing. Is it felt like as soon as the Patriots did anything, they would just dial up a deep bomb and connect and get
Yeah,
50 yards and then score, and it was just like they never had to really be stressed, and
no.
they still got all those explosive plays. So, um, yeah, that's that. There you go.
We'll keep talking about this game, but I would say that obviously things will be more entertaining if the Patriots, let's say, like beat the Dolphins this week, and then maybe beat the Jaguars or the Bears or some of these upcoming opponents. But in all reality, like the best thing that could happen for the future of the Patriots would be for them to somehow wind up with the number 1 overall pick, because like then they can at least trade that pick. Because I think you kind of wonder like, all right, you got to need it wide receiver right now. Well, you also have a need at offensive tackle right now. Well, you
Mhm.
also have a need at defensive end right now. Well, you also have a need at cornerback right now. Like they have a ton of needs,
Mhm.
and all of them are at positions where you would ideally like to take that player, let's say, like in the first round. And yeah, having a top 5 pick would net you one of those players. But if you have the number 1 overall pick, and if a team falls in love with Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck or one of these quarterbacks, then maybe you could trade that either for a package of picks this year or in the future or whatever. Like that's what they need to do right now. Ultimately, I don't know if they wind up there. They're bad, but I do think that there's enough winnable games on the schedule that they might not finish in that number 1 overall pick range. But god damn, they probably have to. Like they should.
Yeah, I think given that they got their quarterback, if they end up top 5, they're gonna be in a good spot.
Right.
It's not I mean, every draft's different, but if you're in that top 5, you can usually find the tackle you need. But you don't get
But
to
you
trade
can't
down
then
too
find the
far.
wide receiver or you can't find the other
Right.
guy that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why to me, I came to a realization. I said it on the radio today. I could either just repeat it into my microphone or just play it, but I'll say it because we're here. Um, I'm watching that game and I'm like, if you were to be an organization that's tanking, Jacoby Brissett is the man you would have as your quarterback because you can put forth this face like we're trying, we're competing, we've got a real NFL quarterback
Right.
out there. He's a good leader, he's a good man. He knows all these things, and it's like, sure, but he sucks. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. Some of the quarterback play I saw from him yesterday, I've never seen. There's plays where bad situation, and again, would peak Peyton Manning have won the game yesterday
Right.
for that team? Maybe. Probably not though.
Probably not.
He's just making it worse, and it's making it painful, and when he's running right and has no idea that he can throw the ball away, he's missing wide open receivers. The interception I thought was horrible. I saw post game, he said Fred Warner made a great play. No, he didn't. I want to be at these prime. Give me back there. I was like, no, he didn't. You threw it at him. Like he caught it. You had you had a guy open on the other side of the field, and you didn't see one of the only middle linebackers left in football that you actually know by name. So, to me, they are tanking as an organization, not as a team, not as a coaching staff, not as a players. But if I'm a team and I want to lose games, I put the guy who's now 19 and 33 as a starter out there and be like, "Hey, we gave it a go."
I think it's fair. And it's hard right now to assign blame to someone specifically on offense because like yeah, Jacoby Brissett does deserve blame. He fumbled the ball 3 times in the game, lost one, threw the interception as you mentioned. Um yeah, Fred Warner leaped up to grab it, but Jacoby Brissett, I think, had 3 open receivers on the play.
Yeah.
Wound up getting picked off, pick 6. But like the offensive line is also so bad that you're saying like, all right, well, how would any quarterback, like you mentioned, how would like Peyton Manning do in this game? Based on like from next gen stats, the Patriots were allowing pressure on more than 50% of dropbacks. Like it was like 53.8% of dropbacks,
Yeah.
21 pressures on 40 dropbacks. And a lot of those were pretty quick. Next gen stats had Jacoby Brissett getting the ball out of his hand in 2.6 seconds, which was 7th fastest in the NFL. So as much blame as Jacoby Brissett deserves for how the Patriots started the season, I'm not sure how much blame he deserves specifically for the pressure that he was facing that game, because the Patriots have their 4th string left tackle in there, into Montre Jacobs. He allowed 7 pressures. Leighton Robinson allowed 7 pressures. Sidney Sow and Michael Wenu were allowing pressure. It was just coming from everywhere. And I mean, yeah, there wasn't, he was just constantly under siege the whole game too.
They fell victim to the tackle and stunt again, which again, it's a very
Yes.
complicated pass rush technique where
More
one guy
simple.
just, yeah, it's complex. I remember when I was like in 5th grade, we were working on that on the offensive line. But no, it's just, I would never be like, well, they're 1-3 because of Jacoby Brissett. But watching him roll right, cross the line of scrimmage, continuing to look downfield while pump faking, only to curl back into a sack. It's like the stuff that we here up on our perch in New England used to get to look around the league every
Right.
week and be like, ha ha ha, look at how dumb and bad these guys are. And it's like, man, it is hitting hard right now how bad quarterback play is. So it's not the reason, but again, I just think he's not a winning player, period. So it's a
Right.
good choice to make if you want a top 3, 4, 5 pick.
It is. Yeah. So by the end of the game, the Patriots had 1 backup offensive lineman because David Andrews got hurt and Kiden Wallace got hurt. And now moving forward, you either have to hope Vidarian Lowe gets healthy by week 5, start Demontre Jacobs again, or as I and everyone else has been pushing for, just like sign a guy off the street who you know can play left tackle. And I asked Jerod Mayo about it this morning, and he finally was like, yeah, I'm going to meet with Elliott Wolf. We're always looking to make our team better. Like it wasn't a hard no, which is what we've received in the past and what I've privately received in the past from the Patriots. So like maybe these injuries finally do force them to put someone out there, because I think it was during the game or after the game, they was talking to Nicole Yang from the Boston Globe, and she made a good point, and like other people have probably made the point too, where like by having such a bad offensive line out there, like you're affecting the development of your players even beyond a quarterback. Like Jalen Polk can't develop right now because Demontre Jacobs is your left tackle. And
Demario
like
Douglas can't
Demario
develop.
Douglas can't develop because of that same reason. And like, yeah, I understand wanting to put in your guys or your young players and develop those on the offensive line. But if they're not doing their job, then they're affecting much more than just themselves. And then when you want to put Drake Maye in there as well, obviously that's going to affect him too. So like you need something there to not be the worst offensive line in football. I haven't looked at the pressure stats over the last 5 years, but like Patriots have a higher pressure rate this year than anyone did last year. So it's at least the worst offensive line in 2 years. And there are guys out there who have done it before. And I think that now with all these injuries and everything going on, like now is the time to say like, all right, Kyed Wallace is hurt. He might be out for a while. We don't have to worry about developing him right now. Get Donovan Smith, get Charles Leno, get someone else in there who can actually play left tackle.
Yeah, I have 2 things to say on that. One, maybe more serious than the other. First of all, it's accountability time. I'll own up. I said that all summer and into the start of the season, the Patriots were the only team in the NFL, college, or high school that only employed one person who could snap the ball. Nick Leverett snapped the ball.
He did. No pressures allowed too, I believe.
So it was because they ran the 4th and 1 attempt right after Andrews went out, and they ran it up the gut and got blown up. And I'm like, wow, I wonder maybe you shouldn't run behind Nick Leverett. And I rewatched. I'm like, nope, he blocked his man. It was Leighton Robinson committing a hold that didn't help, and then it was a mess. But so they do have multiple people who can snap the football. The other thing, we also might have mentioned this during the summer, we should try to get Jim Harbaugh on our podcast as a guest, because he explained I think one of the most beautiful quotes of the summer was the offensive line is the only position group that affects every other position group on the team and does not rely on any other position group on the team to do well.
Right.
And we're seeing, the negative aspect of that, where it even affects the defense. Like
Right.
the defense last year, I thought was better than even the numbers showed because of how long they were out there. Maybe that's come around too much. That it's not. I mean, you have to be elite to be even good with that offense. So it's hard to evaluate even parts of the defense, knowing how much the offensive line just crumbles.
There's some situations where, like, obviously coaching wasn't like the biggest thing in this game besides like obvious coaching decision, but like situational football in this game. I do wish that I think it was the 4th and 1 play that you're talking about. Was that the one that they showed that they were going for it, tried to draw them off sides, call a timeout, and then they did wind up going for it? In that situation, just go for it. Just run the ball. Or, I mean, Jacoby Brissett, when he was on the Colts with Philip Rivers, was a designated quarterback sneaker.
Dolphins too.
And the Dolphins too. He did
With
it against the
Fitzpatrick.
Patriots, I believe,
Yep.
right? Obviously, he's taking a lot of hits right now. Maybe you don't want to get more hits, but I think at a certain point, there's a point of no return where with the hits that Jacoby Brissett's taking. But like, if other teams employed him as a backup to also be a quarterback sneak specialist, like do it on the Patriots. Like do the tush push, do something. Once again, I don't know if that changes the game. Maybe the Patriots score one more touchdown, whatever it is. But like, it does feel like they're getting too cute in those situations. The drawing them offside thing, like when it works, great, but it works so infrequently that I'd rather you just go for it right away than be too cute about it.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up my note because on that opening drive, when they lined up like they were going to go for it, I wrote down, I want to quote myself. I want to get this accurate. Going for it on 4th down, thank God. No reason not to.
Right.
Never mind. Fake. Punt. Lame. Greg Olsen can't believe it because why not
Right.
go
Yeah.
for it? You've had that was their best drive of the day, I want to say.
Yeah.
And you get to whatever it was, the 40.
Yeah.
Like you're far. And then I sarcastically, I was like, oh, great job punting because they just marched down the field, but they ended up holding with a field goal. So it is what it is. But this team and that was a major critique we had of Belichick over the last 4 years, where he would always punt in those situations. And it's like, guy, what are you like? You're missing something. And apparently just that is the way of the NFL, is to be ultra hyper conservative. My issue was more on that opening drive. Kittle caught a ball on 3rd down and did not catch it. And they didn't challenge it. If they ended up scoring a touchdown, that would have been a bigger deal. But things like that, the operation is still new and functioning. But that one stood out to me as one where, and again, it's not as if Bill late in those years was good at challenging and always had things right. So it's not about Bill or Mayo. It's about, well, there's some still work to be done on the coaching staff.
The other one that I had a slight issue with, and this is like maybe being a little bit too nitpicky, is that at the end of the half, Patriots punt with 1:53 on the clock. At 1:38, Brock Purdy fumbled the ball, lost 5 yards. 49ers were about to face 3rd and 15 from their 8-yard line, and there was 1:38 on the clock at that point. The Patriots had a timeout. I would have taken the timeout at that point, force the 49ers to decide, like, all right, are we going to run the ball and like give up on this situation, or pass the ball, which would then stop the clock again, giving the Patriots like an almost legitimate 2-minute drill to end the half. It wound up working out for the Patriots because Joey Slice set a franchise record with a 63-yard field goal, but that's no guarantee that he's going to hit the 63-yarder at that point. If you want to score, try to give yourself more than 40 seconds or whatever it is. They got the ball back with 38 seconds. So try to give yourself more than 38 seconds at that point to do it.
In that possession, Doug, as you might know, traveled -6 yards.
Right. Yeah, that as well. Yeah, they got the ball at the 39-yard line. Like
and they went backwards.
And they went backwards and had to kick a 63-yard field goal. So like they were set up to potentially like even score a touchdown at that point if they were a normal offense that could move the ball. Instead, they went backwards and Joey Sly bailed them out with a 63-yard field goal. But though, like if you're not going to win and you kind of go into a game probably assuming you're not going to win, be as like aggressive as possible in those situations. Go for it on 4th down. Try to force them to do something at the end of the half. Like try to score at the end of the half. Try to put yourself in these situations to actually like score a lot of points. And they're being very conservative right now. And I don't think it's doing them any good.
Yeah, maybe do that when you play the bad teams and it's going to be a 14-13 final. But when you're playing the presumptive Is that the right word? Presumptive NFC champions. Like, go for it. You know, if
Right.
you're a player on the team, you can at least respect it. I don't think any player is going to be in the locker room and be like, man, the coaches lost it for us. We were too aggressive. Like, give me a chance if I'm out there. Like, there's really no reason not to. So
No, and
the only
yeah.
counter argument I would say is let's say you call timeout and then they get in the huddle and the Niners all look at each other like, okay, all right, who's going to get the deep ball here? And then they go 55
Yeah.
yards and then they score. So
But that's
there
such a
was a
risk
chance.
at that point for that. Yeah, I know, I agree. Like, obviously, they could do that, but they didn't wind up doing it anyway, even without the timeout. But that first drive as well, like the Patriots were moving the ball. I think they picked up two third down conversions on that drive. Then on 3rd and 3, they threw incomplete to Osborne. In retrospect, probably should have run the ball on 3rd and 3 to set yourself up for a good 4th down situation there, because this team can't play from behind. Like, it's impossible for the 2024 Patriots to play from behind. So if you can actually take the lead on your opening drive, do absolutely everything that you possibly can to do that, and do not take the delay of game when you're on the 41-yard line, and then punt to the opposing team, because that doesn't
Almost
do you
got
any
him.
good.
Almost tricked him though. Imagine if they did jump off sides.
That would have been big. Real quick, some ups and downs. My downs are pretty obvious. Ramondre Stevenson fumbled for the 4th time in 4 weeks, lost a fumble for the 2nd time in 2 weeks. He gets a down. Or as the Costco guys would say, he gets a doom. And
You're getting a cease and desist, brother.
more dooms. Jacoby Brissett, 3 interception, 3 fumbles, lost a fumble. Jonathan Jones in on at least 2 of the big downfield plays. I mean, it was tough for any of the cornerbacks out there, but you expect Jonathan Jones to be a little bit better than that. And then I think Layden Robinson, Demontre Jacobs probably share a down. It's a little bit unfair to give it to Demontre Jacobs since he was claimed off waivers about a month ago. He's a 4th left tackle in 4 weeks. But when you allow both of those guys allowed 7 pressures per PFF, so they both get downs. Thoughts?
Yep. You could have kept going. So why belabor the point? I would
The
say like
yeah,
Jelani Tavai
yeah,
fell for play action,
yeah.
had
That
to
was
drop in his zone coverage and couldn't find Debo Samuel. So he's like, I'll just hang out here. Maybe I'll be. And he was a mile away. That was a bad one that stood out.
yeah.
But again, there's 80 things where it's like if that didn't happen, would it have mattered? So I don't make too big of a deal of it.
Shockingly, I have 5 ups or
Can I do
booms,
one?
as the Costco guys would say. Yeah, give me one.
I like Jabril Peppers. Absolutely smoked Debo on I think it was like his first or second touch, where it was like welcome back, and then
Yeah.
had the pick in the end zone. Looked like he knocked himself out, which is never good. You don't want to land on the ball or your back or whatever it was.
He
But
said he
yeah,
got the wind knocked out of him on that play. Yeah.
I forget if he was on his stomach or
It
I think
was it was his back. He landed like smack on his back
yeah,
there. Yeah.
can't do that. But anyway, he was fun.
He was good. He did whiff on one of Jawan Jennings' downfield throws. I think it was like a 38-yard pass that he just like came like flying in and whiffed. But
Yeah, I think
otherwise,
that was like I'm afraid to hit you too hard, wasn't it? It
I
looked like.
think so. Yeah. He took the blame for it, so I'll like allow him to do that. But he said that he either should have got the hit on him or gone for the ball, and kind of did neither. So he was on my my up list. Joey Sly, obviously, he was the leading scorer in this game. He kicked 2 field goals, had the extra point, 63-yarder, so he gets one. I didn't even throw, but special teams in general, Bryce Barringer can go in there as well. Christian Gonzalez, I think, was good. He only allowed, from what I saw, he allowed 2 catches. The only one I really remember is that diving one that Brandon Ayuk had, which there wasn't much you could do from a cornerback perspective on that. Christian Ellis forced and recovered the fumble on the kickoff, so he gets an up. Antonio Gibson had the 50-yard catch and run at the end there, where it would have been, he's got 4.3 speed. You might have liked to have seen him score on that play, but the angles probably weren't in his favor on it. And then Peppers was the last one. But yeah, I was a little bit shocked that they didn't bench Stevenson longer in that game, because like Antonio Gibson's been pretty good this season. I thought Michael Hasty looked decent when he was out there as well. And at some point, you just have to do something to keep Ramondre Stevenson from fumbling.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean, that one, the only note I had was it was right after Andrews left. It was the first snap, I wanna say, of the second
Yes, it
drive, if
was.
I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it was the first play
So,
of the second drive, I think.
there was a lot of traffic in the backfield, and sometimes that can be all it takes where your timing and your footwork, where you're
Yeah.
used to hitting the line and you're not there, maybe there's separation. That's not an excuse. I'm just trying to follow through why like this one might have been different from the others. It was busy in the backfield, so
It
that
was.
threw him off. But I was thrown off, Doug, after the 50-yard completion to Gibson. The Fox stats at the bottom, it said Jacoby Brissett, like whatever, 13 to 20, 117 yards. I'm like, oh, they haven't updated that yet. Like that'll be 167 soon. And I just kept staring at it. I'm like, oh, brother. He had 57 yards before that. That is nuts.
I think you're wrong on that because he wound up with 168 yards.
Oh, so it just took forever to update?
Yeah, or maybe it was including the yards lost from sacks or something, but that was I do remember exactly
Okay.
on that play turning to Andrew Callahan, my coworker at the Boston Herald, and saying, "Hey, Jacoby Brissett has more than 150 yards."
All right. Well, I absolved myself. Fox was wrong because I know what he ended up
Blame
with, and
Fox.
I didn't replace it. So, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 50 yards came on a dump off on a running back leaking out. So that's good.
Yeah. Good overall run there by Antonio Gibson. Tried
I
to
want
cut
to
it
pick
back in the
another
middle.
up. Let me
What
think.
was that?
I'm gonna pick another up. Give me a
Oh,
second.
good.
I'll check out the
Wow.
roster. Let me see.
I don't believe you
Um,
can.
I
I
mean,
don't believe in you.
Hooper caught a touchdown. It wasn't very impressive. Booty had a nice 11-yard catch. He was the
He did
leading
actually.
receiver. Tyquan Thornton played. He picked up a penalty. That was a good play. McMillan looked awful chasing Purdy. I might put him on the down.
Mm-hmm.
We got to
Sure.
do. It's tough. I want one more though. Nick Leverett. Nick Leverett snapped the ball.
He did.
He's
He
an up.
snapped the ball well. They might need him too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the situation with David Andrews is, but anytime that David Andrews leaves a game, first of all, it's notable. And second of all, when he stays out the entire game, it's notable. So obviously hoping that's not a serious injury, but we'll see.
Snapped the ball,
Yeah.
blocked, and recovered a fumble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good game, Nick Leverett.
Good game, Nick Leverett. He gets a boom.
I'm serious. You should be careful. They probably have people all over the internet.
Listen, I'm sorry. Well, they can't copyright Costco guys, right? I'm a Costco guy. I've got a membership.
They're outside your window right now.
They're holding double chunk chocolate cookies.
Have you seen the ones where they're like not edited? No, you
Yeah.
say this. No, you say this. Now you say this. No, I say that there. It looks really nice. It's a really sweet relationship.
Yeah, it's great. You love to be a business partner with your 11-year-old son or whatever it is. All right. Before we get out of here, I did promise that we would talk about both Jerod Mayo on Drake and Bill Belichick on the Patriots. Let's start off real quick on Jerod Mayo on Drake. He did say that Jacoby Brissett is 100% the Patriots starter moving forward. He did kind of like throw a caveat on that a little bit on WEI, being like, oh, but I reserve the right to change my mind. But then when we asked him about that after he was on the radio, he said, no, don't get it wrong. But Jacoby Brissett is our starting quarterback. I think this would have been a decent week to see Drake Maye, but I also understand why you don't want to do that. If you don't have David Andrews, if you only have 6 healthy offensive linemen, maybe you do wait a little bit longer, but I don't know. I mean, it's so ugly right now, and I do think things would look better with Drake Maye. I also understand not wanting to ruin his career.
Why not play him? I think they got the ball back with like 4 minutes left, down
Right.
30 to 13. Wouldn't that be a good spot to play him?
I think it would have.
Maybe they don't want to add to the chaos, but that's sort of when you put your backup in. And we talked about it last week. There are times when your backup goes in, and that's it. I wonder if you caught Gronkowski at halftime saying, wait till week 12. I don't know if that was informed, whether he and Mayo connect at all, because it felt like last week when you and I talked, there was this sort of push through the media various ways, like Drake's looking really good, Drake's looking
Right.
ready. And I wonder if Mayo had some way to reach out and be like, we need to push back in some way, because you had Rappaport Sunday morning saying that May's not really close. And then you had Gronkowski saying, Patriots fans, please, I get it. Wait till like week 12, which was an odd like decision to point out when. So I raised an eyebrow when I saw Gronkowski say that. But my biggest thing, everyone's pushing it now. Like everyone talked about it during the game, after the game. Like, is it May time? Is it May time? And to me, it's that flashing red button, the like hit here in case of emergency. What happens if you hit that and nothing changes? Then you don't have the false belief of
Yeah.
hope anymore. And there's no more thing to look forward to. So I think I was big on this week. I thought Miami game made sense. You've got Jacksonville and you've got this run of 4 weeks that are decent. I don't think they think that. I think they are waiting. I think they're going to be bottoming out with Brissett before we see May get any sort of real playing time.
Yeah, that's the way it feels. That's certainly the way that it seems like Alex Van Pelt wants to handle things. Last week, it seemed like Jerod Mayo was a little bit more eager to play May. That's now gone away this week. So, yeah, I mean, we keep saying like, let's see how they look against the Dolphins. This will be the determination of whether they're the worst team in the league or simply among the worst teams in the league, or if they can go on this run. And as we mentioned a million times now at this point, like there's a path before, like by week 10, that they're 4-4 because they got the Bears, the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. I don't know, or I guess path to 5-5 that would be. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah. And then one last thing we wanted to talk about was Bill Belichick did finally talk about the Patriots. I've got Sophie Willer's tweet here that I'm throwing up on YouTube. Didn't say a whole lot about them, but this was on the Pat McAfee show when he was finally asked about the Patriots. He said, "I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what the plan is, so can't comment on that. If Mayo says he's got a plan, then I guess he's got one, and we'll have to see what it is." I believe that's in reference to Drake Maye. Patriots keep referring to this plan, but refuse to say what the plan actually is. You've got the full quote up there on your screen. What do you have to say about it?
I just was saying hi.
Oh, hi there. But no, please comment otherwise as well. Yeah.
Well, what stood out to me was he basically was like, "Man, that kicker I drafted last year sucked. So good thing they got a better one." But yeah, the end. We'll see what the plan is. I have no idea what it is. I mean, I'll just say this: it was the happiest I've seen him look in quite some time. He had a poop eating grin while saying all that. It was bringing him no pain to talk about the mess and disorder that is the current New England Patriots, and understandably so. I don't think most people would feel differently in that spot. But I don't know, was it snide? Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like, "Oh, I know what the plan is. I'm not going to tell you." He just said, "I don't know
Right.
what it is." So I just think my takeaway is more body language and tone, and he seemed pretty happy.
Yeah, and like he can say whatever he wants. Obviously, yeah, they don't have a great plan right now. That being said, the Patriots have started every season since 2021 now, 1-3. So things weren't that much better, I'd say, under Bill. Especially last year, things weren't better. Patriots offense looked a lot like this last year. I think that obviously for fans, they had more belief that Bill Belichick knew what he was doing, that he had a plan, than what they might know what they have now with Jerod Mayo and Elliott Wolf, two newcomers or two inexperienced people in their positions. But I don't know. It's not like this year looks drastically different than it did last year.
And you piqued my curiosity because I was like, "Well, what about 2020? They were 2-2. Then they had, oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm good.
I disappeared. 2-2. Then they had the week 5 bye, and then they lost 3 straight to drop to 2-5, and
Right.
it was pretty much the beginning of the end for competitive football in New England. Except for that, would they win 8 in a row in 2021?
Yeah, Devon Gottschall actually referenced that. He was like, "Hey, we started 1-3 my first year in New England, and then went on a run. They made the playoffs." Once again, I don't think that's going to happen just because things look so bleak right now. But we keep talking about the schedule. It's there for the Patriots. Like if they want this, if they want to go on a run, if they want to win football games right now, it's there for the taking for them. I know you have to go soon. Did you want to talk about anything else before we get out of here?
That's a great question, Doug. I probably did. I'll be honest with you. I probably did. I've got a lot going through my head. I didn't get my nappy poo in today, so I'm a little twisted.
I
But
did. I had like a 4-hour nap.
that's not
But
really
as I
a nap.
mentioned, 3-hour red eye, 3-hour sleep on a red eye. So yeah, it's really more of a continuation of sleep at that point, isn't it?
That's a reset on your messed up sleep schedule. So that's good. Good luck going to sleep tonight. I'm sure that'll be a breeze. No, I just think next week's going to be really interesting because watching this game from afar for a lot of Patriots fans was tough. I think a lot of Patriots fans probably tuned out or missed the beginning or missed the end. I saw someone tweeting like, they were just watching Red Zone because it's difficult to watch. So I'm interested to see how the Dolphins look with an extra day of preparation after the worst we've seen them under the McDaniel era last week. See how they play on Monday night, and then on a short week traveling. Like, if you can't beat that team or at least compete with that team, I think it's going to get ugly down there. Like, I don't know to what degree, but it's going to be miserable. It's going to plant a seed of negativity that is going to just grow throughout the year. So the season's not going anywhere really important, but it's kind of like the season defining week where the road splits and you choose which way you're going. So I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm not going to predict 35-3 Patriots loss as a little teaser for the next podcast, but
There we go.
I'm going to start crafting that one.
I like this overall as a teaser, though. You're teasing the Patriots next game, which I agree with. I do think that at a certain point, attrition starts to take over a team, and when you don't have Christian Barmore, when you've traded away Matthew Judon, if you don't have David Andrews, Kyle Duggar, Kane Wallace, Juwan Bentley, at a certain point, you're just going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, Patriots already had one of the worst rosters. They were predicted to have the fewest wins. And then if they get the injury bug and lose a bunch of their players, it'll only get worse from there. So I do think I don't honestly believe that they can finish that stretch 5-5. But as I mentioned, like, if they want this, if they truly believe in themselves, they have some winnable games coming up on their schedule. Sean mentioned it to me, and we'll see how that goes. Make sure to subscribe to the Pat Chat podcast, like, subscribe, review, do all those things, right? That's what you got to do. And listen to Michael Hurley on WZLX in the morning. Go to bostonherald.com, read my coverage.
I get to talk sometimes.
Well, that's good. Just listen for Mike to talk sometimes.
All right.
We're getting out of here.
All right.
That was a good ending. Real not awkward at all, but we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.